morning, and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. We are here to discuss the last two episodes of National Treasure: Edge of History. Now, here's the thing. I think that somehow we had a filler episode, and it didn't amount to anything. And then the second episode was kind of just, silly. Now, here's the thing. The first episode is the one with Riley coming back. Riley from National Treasure and National Treasure Book of Secrets. He returns for the wake of Sadusky. And there he is. He is, he's there, and he's helping solve the mystery, and they get stuck in this room. And here's my problem with this episode. The reason why I'm calling this episode filler is that the entire point of this episode is to get to the conclusion of what they're talking about with the Elvis message, the message left behind by Elvis. That's the entire point of the episode. And I think that that and also there's a tease. Was it this episode or was it? Yeah, it was this episode. Because that's the problem watching two episodes in a row. Yeah, because what's his name was helping and they were locked in the room. There's a tease that the bad guys may not be as bad as we've been thinking, because Sadusky was doing something with them. He had information about them. But also, it's like the entire thing is to get the idea that when they say they're talking about Sacagawea, and again, I don't remember the first National Treasure that well, and I probably should go back and watch it again. I'm gonna assume they took the same leaps in logic that this show does, where it's like, okay, sure, I guess, and it always kind of seems right by plot convenience, whereas like we can't sit here and have them be wrong too often. But it's that kind of thing where they have to solve riddles and all that. And I think that like the Riley episode is there to pass the torch in a way. Even though Ben's not gone, Ben is still in the episode in a weird way, because it's like he's constantly talking about, and he's talking to Ben, talking about Ben, and all of that. We just never see Ben. But the whole, at the end of the episode when they get to the anagram and it's like 180 or 81, and she goes, all right, put yours in. He goes, no, put yours in. You think like Ben. Like, that's kind of meant to be like passing the torch. I get it. I understand what the point of this episode is. I just think that doing another pin code puzzle the week after we did a pin code puzzle in what's it called? In Elvis, in Graceland, I don't think necessarily was necessary. I think it could have done without that. And then comes the whole thing at the end of the episode, which then is most of the drama in the next episode, where it's like, okay, so what we're gonna do, someone in your ranks is a spy, and they all assume I forgot the fucker's name, Liam? Ian? Nathan? I don't know, something like that. He's got, the guy she kissed. That whole nonsense that happens within that aspect, it's just so dumb, because it's so obvious he's not the spy, that it's like, it's just meant to drive the drama for the episode, when the episode has implicit drama between her and her ex-boyfriend later in the episode, when they're trying to get to the journaling questions so they can find the clue. It's just kind of weird, the steps that this show is taking, rather than just simply, continuing through the story. So in the second episode when they go to the governor's ball and they're trying to find they're trying to get to Meriwether Clark's journal. Or no, it's not him. It's York, who was the slave they brought with them to help out. That whole thing, I have no reason to believe it, to not believe that actually happened, but, I never heard of it, which doesn't mean it's not true, but okay, whatever, sure, let's move along. Because a lot of this is just like, oh, and then this happened in history too, and I'm like, I'm just gonna trust you on this, because I don't know enough to dispute it, but, okay, we'll just, assume everything is accurate, but then again, the key conceit of the show is completely and totally inaccurate. Because they could have done so many other northern tribes too. You don't have to just do Mesoamerican and South American. You could have done, you could have used the Sioux Nation, or the Cherokee Nation, or the Iroquois Nation, or the Shinnecock Nation, or the Anazari Nation, or the Hopi Nation, or there are so many Indian or Native American nations they could have used that there's so many options on the table that they didn't choose the right, to choose three that didn't coexist seems like a weird thing. It's just kind of like they knew you remembered from history that these three existed at some point in time, and that there was conflict between South American natives and the conquistadors. So they're just like, don't think about it too hard. We'll just move on from here. Don't think about it. And I feel like that was kind of whatever. We're losing the plot here. Anyway, the issue is they're going on to the governor's mansion to get this guy's journal, so that way they can find out the attempt is to find out what the next clue is to the next piece. And I think the best part of the episode is probably the end, where Jess is rescued by Billy, and we get Billy comes just get in, and then they get going, and it's like, okay, alright, this is cool, I'm all for this. I hope this is not just a misdirect. I think what they're gonna go for is that Billy's not actually a bad guy, and that and I think the first thing that indicated this to me was Billy being given a purpose in the story and a backstory with collecting the treasure, somewhat exposited in one line of dialogue, where exposited in one line of dialogue where they say oh, your brother died looking for this treasure, that's why you're too focused on it. And I mean, look, here's the thing, it's transparent, we know what's gonna happen. Billy's gonna be like, no, I'm not with them, they just want this for X, Y, or Z reason. You want it so you can exonerate your parents, I want it so that way I can validate my brother's death, and all of that. And they're gonna find the treasure together, Billy's gonna work with them, they're gonna find the treasure together, and then they're going to Billy's gonna backstab him at the end before they come out on top after outsmarting Billy somehow. Which is gonna be, if I remember correctly, considering I haven't seen the movie in 10 years or 15 years, that's exactly what happened in National Treasure, if I remember correctly, where they had to team up with the bad guy toward the end of the movie, and then at the end he stabbed him in the back as they were leaving. But yeah, I think that ultimately the issue with the show, it doesn't have the same issue Willow does, where Willow looks and feels cheap. This show doesn't have that. It just kind of has that, it feels like a well-budgeted Disney Channel original series, where Willow feels like a low-budget CW show, which feels like an insane sentence all around, but you get what, it makes sense in a weird way, where it's to say it's a low-budget CW show is it doesn't look great, it doesn't feel real, it doesn't feel like there's any stakes to what's happening, it doesn't feel like anything isn't necessarily, right with the world to make it feel like there's any real stakes. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, to say it's a high-budget Disney Channel show, it's like, okay, so it's still going to be about, like, young adults who are trying to make their way, and actually, no, it feels like a better budget CW show, because Disney Channel shows tend to be about younger people, while it is still, like, young adult. Like, they are still, like, college age, all the main characters of the show, with the exception of Riley and Billy, and I think maybe we could say Ben, because Ben does have dialogue technically in the episode where he's talking, because if he's talking to Riley and Riley's responding, he is responding to something. And I think the thing is, bringing Ben into it in this way, and that episode put it on Ben's radar. I think there's a solid chance based on that, and I know I've been wrong on this before with cameos. I know I've said that Doctor Strange was going to appear in WandaVision, the same way Luke Skywalker appeared in The Mandalorian. I know I've said Thrawn was going to show up in Andor, and then he didn't. I've been wrong before. But the difference between those and this is the character did not make an appearance and was never referenced in those other cases. It's just like, okay, it kind of makes sense based on what's happening in the world around them that this character would show up. I could see, point A to point B to point C about how this happens. This all kind of makes sense. We don't get that same thing in, what's it called? Here we have, Ben talking and Ben providing key information to, what's it called? To Jess and her friends. And I think Riley, and then Riley provides to Jess and her friends. And I think that's going to be the thing that's going to be like, oh crap, Ben's going to come in and help out now. At some point, probably toward the finale. Like, I could see him having a very small role in the finale, Cage, being like, oh, I see, you found this treasure, good job, and then just fucking off. Or it's like he comes in like the Deus Ex Machina and saves the day. Either way, I could see it happening. And I think the other thing is, too, I don't think Nicolas Cage is someone who particularly is, who will turn down roles. I don't think Nicolas Cage is someone who's like, nah, I'm going to pass on that. If you look at his filmography, he's not exactly picky when it comes to what movies he's in or does or anything like that. And some of them are really good, some of them not so much. But I mean, he's a mainstay on Shudder at this point. Like, fuck, he'll do anything for a paycheck, it seems. But with this, I could see him coming in for one small, thing at the end, and maybe that's all they wanted him for, was like establish this team and then move in. Like, unless they're going to do the Ghostbusters Afterlife route, which is entirely possible, and I genuinely hope they don't do that, because I really did not like the way they handled Ghostbusters Afterlife, where this new team does the entire thing, the entire way through, and then gets to the end and sets up the trap to fight Gozar. And was it it was Gozar Gozarian who was the bad guy. And then the original Ghostbusters team shows up. And it's like, we'll take it from here. And it's like, but we watched this team kind of grow and develop and become their own, like, thing. Like, what the fuck? Like, why did I watch this entire movie if we're just gonna watch you guys fight the same guy you did 50 years ago again? Like, what the fuck? But it is one of those things where it's like, I could see them going either route. There's one route that's substantially better than the others. And I think that, I really hope it's not the other route. Like, genuinely hope that it's not and here's the original team to save the day. You're welcome, people who did all the work up until this point. Just take a back seat. We got it from here. That would be a really shitty way to end the show. But we're at the point in the show about, in terms of runtime, like equivalent, where we get the phone call to Dan Aykroyd. And that's my only thing that's giving me pause, is that at this point comparatively, in the runtime of, in the runtime of Ghostbusters Afterlife, we had Dan Aykroyd make his cameo appearance, and they call him and they talk to him about, the various, about what's going on in the town. So that's the thing, and we get a phone call here where it's talking to Ben, and Ben's giving them that little bit of information that they need, and I'm like, oh, fuck me, are we going to get to a Ghostbusters Afterlife ending? I really hope not, because, the cast is starting to grow on me, in a way that on Willow they haven't. Not even, in a negative way, where it's I just want to come in every week and see if they die. This is, no, it's just, I just don't want to watch this show anymore. But luckily there's only, 2 more episodes. Well, here's the thing, I haven't watched last week, this week, or, obviously next week's finale, but, move on from there. So, on that note, I think we've gotten enough on, what was it called? National Treasure, that's what we were talking about. National Treasure, Edge of History. We will be continuing this next week. I think we have National Treasure penciled in Friday mornings. Because Thursday mornings is the Bad Batch. And this week, continuing out this week, we have tomorrow, we will be doing the mid-year, the 2022 year in review will be on, will be tomorrow morning, or tomorrow afternoon, really. We're recording it, and I'll put it up right after I edit it together. Then comes the Willow recap and return to Willow. The following week, on Sunday, to be Willow. On, what else do we have next week? We have Exploring Hyperspace Lanes episode 2, where we talk about A New Hope on Wednesday. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World on 30-minute reviews on Tuesday. On Friday of next week, we're going to be covering A Man Called Otto, the new Tom Hanks movie based on the European film of the same name, based on the European short film of the same name, based on the European book of the same name. Or, no, it's A Man Called Uwe in every other form, but A Man Called Otto here. And because American audiences will not watch a movie if there's subtitles to it, because they don't want to read. So that's all, coming in the next week or two. If you want to get the full calendar, you can go to multipleworldproductions.com and click the news tab. There's going to be, the pinned post is going to be about what our schedule for the month of January is going to be. And you can look at that. If you want to find out more about Exploring Hyperspace Lanes, if you're a big Star Wars fan like I am, and Josie is, and, Peter is, you can go to multipleworldproductions.com/EHL, and you can click the link there on your favorite podcast service to subscribe there and listen to new episodes as they come out every Wednesday, just after midnight Eastern Time. The episodes go live, so they'll be coming out with fair regularity. We have A New Hope we're starting with, and then we're going to do Andor Season 1, and then we're going to do Kenobi, the 2007 book, and we're going to do Star Wars Battlefront before going back to doing a movie. We'll go back to Empire Strikes Back. So, on that note, we will wrap up there for today, and have a great rest of your week.